Southern California, good afternoon, and welcome to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Today we have ourselves quite a show, as we have a lot to get into in the world of Southern California sports, such as the LA Galaxy winning not one but two matches last week. Did they overtake LAFC, who had a solid week themselves? Unfortunately, it wasn't a solid week for the Sparks, as they not only lost 4 games, but they lost something much more important to them in terms of their team. And the Dodgers look pretty good, taking 2 out of 3 against the Royals and 3 out of 4 against the Rockies. Can they continue the momentum against the Angels, who continue to belly flop, but it is what it is with the Angels. The Padres are still bleh, especially since they had such a bad week against the New York Mets. Also, Angel City finally got a game. I can't say the same for San Diego LAFC, as they got a tie and a loss. No bueno. And they rightly said all that for, as well as the Lakers hiring JJ Redick as the new head coach. What are my thoughts about that? You'll have to find out in a little bit. This is Teran Rodriguez bringing you another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. And welcome all to another edition of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Thank you all for joining me on this beautiful Friday afternoon, Friday evening, Friday wherever you are listening from. Either way, you've made your way into episode 186 of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And without any further delay, let us begin. But first and foremost, the SoCal Supreme Sports Show would not be where it's at without iSports Radio providing the platform to go live on Spreaker. Follow iSports Radio on several different social media platforms such as TikTok, Facebook, especially Facebook, Instagram, and X, formerly known as Twitter. And we also have a website, iSportsRadio.com, for all of your latest sports news, our blog, our pages dedicated to each podcast, such as the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. Definitely do check out all of our amazing shows dedicated to each region of the world, as well as different sports. We also have a merchandise shop for all of your latest tees, such as this one, and tank tops because it is getting hot in Southern California. For the last 10 years, iSports Radio has been bringing you amazing content ranging from interviewing legendary athletes, coaches, and other authorized media personnel to building tailor-made shows dedicated to all major sports teams around the country. Thank you to everyone for all of your support and for making iSports Radio your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely check out iSports Radio on several different social media platforms, as well as our other podcast platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, CastBox, Deezer, Podcast Addict. The list goes on and on. And the way you can follow the SoCal Supreme Sports Show on social media is on X, formerly known as Twitter, at SoCal Show IESR. And you can follow me personally, Teran Rodriguez, on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Teran Rodriguez1. And we also have a pair of shouts to give to our sponsors, Plant Jerky, Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet, and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. We definitely do appreciate their support for iSports Radio, and let's get on into what they are all about when it comes to Plant Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
IE Sports Radio fans, this show is brought to you by Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky. Planet Jerky is the official jerky of the 2022 California League champion Lake Elsinore Storm, Single A affiliate of the San Diego Padres. This all brisket jerky has gluten-free options, contains no MSG, no sodium nitrate, is low in sugar, and high in protein. Go to their website at planetjerky.net and follow them on Instagram at Planet Jerky. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet.
Hey there, IE Sports Radio fans. Be sure to check out our sponsor, Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. You just finished your very own wedding or baby shower invitations and you're looking for that extra special touch? Maybe you just wrote a letter to a relative or a friend and you want to add to their smile when they receive it. Then seal the deal with Cecilia's handmade sealing wax stamps for your invitations, letters, and gifts. You bring the deal, we'll bring the seal. You can find them on Instagram at sealthedeal_wax stamps and on Facebook, Seal the Deal Wax Seals.
That's right, everybody. Definitely check out Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky and Seal the Deal Wax Seals by Cecilia B. Made with love. Also, if you buy a bag of jerky from Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky, make sure you go to their Instagram and say that IE Sports Radio sent you. Whether it's my show, whether it's another one of our shows, definitely tell them that one of the shows on IE Sports Radio sent you to Planet Jerky Premium Brisket Beef Jerky to buy a bag of their delicious jerky. And if you do so, they'll give you a bag for free. The prices are slashed for the time being, so get them while they're hot and smoking. With that being said, it's time to get into the sports action as we have to address the elephant in the room. The Lakers hired JJ Redick as their head coach. So I have a lot of mixed feelings regarding JJ Redick and whatnot, just because, well, I mean, this was kind of inevitable. Bleacher Report basically kind of broke the ice when it came to this, just because JJ Redick, they basically leaked it as they said that JJ Redick was bound to be the new head coach for the Lakers after the NBA Finals was done, and then he would basically say bye-bye to his broadcasting career. And then the whole Dan Hurley thing kind of threw everybody for a loop. So there was that there, and everyone was thinking that Dan Hurley was going to be going to the Lakers, but that never was a thing. So for JJ Redick, here's my thing. I am perfectly fine with this as long as JJ Redick builds a great coaching staff. I mean, everyone was skeptical with Frank Vogel as head coach for the Lakers, and he built a great coaching staff. He had Jason Kidd, which eventually took the Dallas Mavericks to the NBA Finals, and eventually that coaching staff on the Lakers helped win a championship. And yes, I don't care what anyone says, the bubble championship counts. Anyone that says otherwise, you're stupid. But for JJ Redick, some are saying that this is going to be a high risk, high reward thing, and I agree. And again, as long as a coach is only as good as the staff that he's built around. If he can build himself a great coaching staff like Frank Vogel did, obviously he's not going to copy and paste everything just because Jason Kidd is happy with the Dallas Mavericks, being with the Dallas Mavericks. And I don't think they can really copy and paste from the previous coaches. So there you have it right there. So I think for JJ Redick, I like him. I hope he can be what he is, and I hope the Lakers made the right choice. And honestly, I don't hate this. I don't hate it at all. I mean, obviously, it's another LeBron James opponent turned into a head coach. So, but if I were JJ Redick, I would basically start coaching on the sidelines for the summer league games just to get himself accustomed, just to have him like get to know the young guys, just to know his play style and whatnot, and then get everyone to like know who JJ Redick is, and he's not just someone who was just picked up off the street who's going to be coaching randomly for a team that is in need of a head coach who just recently fired Darvin Ham after 2 seasons, one of which they went to the Western Conference Finals. But all in all, I'm totally fine with JJ Redick. I would have liked maybe Sam Cassell, but is a Celtics assistant coach going to really jump ship and go to the Lakers? Probably not. And I still feel that Tyronn Lue could have been the best choice. I know everyone is probably going to say he's a retread from the Cleveland Cavaliers, but he's had some success with the Clippers. He's had success with the Clippers. I can't really knock it. So would he have fit with Lakers? That is going to be a question that will never get answered. But all in all, JJ Redick is the new head coach of the Lakers. I'm hoping he can do a great job. I think he can. I definitely think he will do a great job. But it all depends on what the coaching staff is all about, and can the players buy into what JJ Redick is all about. Otherwise, this is going to be a whole nother Darvin Ham situation where no one buys into what Darvin Ham says, and then he's going to be out by his second year or the end of his second year at best. So we'll have to see. But I'm confident, and it's just going to take some time. Because, again, everyone knocked Frank Vogel, but I will just say, I think for the Lakers, I think they will be just fine. I think they'll be fine. So there you have it right there for JJ Redick being the Lakers head coach. I'm totally fine with it, like I said, but it's a wait-and-see process. So let's move on and head to another topic. The LA Kings have unveiled a new banner. So it's going to be a whole new thing with the LA Kings. The LA Kings are basically going to be having a new banner. They've taken away the crown, and then they've basically, if you've seen it, it looks kind of like the Ontario, I think it's like the Ontario Reign banner, which I think is not too bad. And obviously a change was needed. But honestly, I don't hate it. I don't hate it, obviously, and I like it. So I'm really happy that the Kings kind of have a new logo and whatnot. I will miss the crown just because it's obviously a king is never fit without a crown. But I will say we all got to warm up to this whole thing. It certainly looks better than the Clippers' new logo. If you look up the Clippers' new logo, I have many questions regarding the Clippers' new logo. But I totally love the Kings' new banner. The new banner, new logo. I think it is what it is. But in addition, the Kings will also be featured on ESPN 710, which I think is awesome. So the Kings are back with ESPN 710, which basically covers everything Los Angeles, like the Galaxy, the Sparks, the Lakers, the Angel City, and then now the Kings are going to be part of that new lineup, which I think is awesome. So glad to see ESPN 710 is going to have more variety. It's not going to be like mainstream football. Oh, I also forgot the Rams. How could I forget about the Rams? But the Rams are also going to be on ESPN 710. So I'm glad ESPN 710 or ESPN Los Angeles is starting to expand in terms of its sports. And it's not going to be, just the standard mainstream sports. It's just basically going to be expanding to all sports within the pro sports scene. But it's not just going to be all pro sports. It's going to be a collegiate sport that's also going to be added, as USC will be back on ESPN 710, but it's to a certain extent. They're only going to have their football games broadcasted, their men's basketball games broadcasted, and their women's basketball games broadcasted as well. So we'll broadcast it as in on the radio. So obviously, I wish I could have had there could have been volleyball and whatnot, and maybe baseball. But you can't we can't give a school too much power or too much love. Otherwise, people like UCLA or UC Irvine are probably going to get jealous, or California Baptist. But I think this is a good start in the right direction. And who knows, maybe the broadcast for football, basketball will eventually lead to higher ratings from ESPN 710 in terms of their radio personality. And eventually it'll lead to something special. So I think this is great. I'm glad that ESPN 710 is back with USC. And I think it's a 4-year deal from what I heard. And I think that's super duper awesome. And it's big things for USC, even though they are in the Big Ten, and it's going to be a gauntlet when it comes to their football team. It's also going to be a gauntlet for their men's basketball team, and it's also going to be a gauntlet for their women's basketball team. Even though the women's basketball team had success, they wound up winning the final Pac-12 tournament, even though that's no longer a thing. But for the women's basketball team, they're going to have to contend with the likes of Ohio State. Penn State was also up there. Nebraska. We'll see what Iowa has, even though they lost Caitlin Clark to graduation, and much more. I mean, it's certainly not going to be a walk in the park, that's for sure. And then for their men's basketball team, USC has to contend with pretty much everybody. I mean, obviously they have a new head coach. They've got some new players, and then some other players departed for either the NBA draft or they've just departed altogether. But USC is going to need to basically pick up the pieces and show everybody that they are still contenders, just because last year was obviously a disappointment with injuries and then Andy Enfield and whatnot. So there you have it for USC and what their basketball team is going to be like. And then obviously for the football team, do I even need to say it? No, I don't. But I do. USC football is going to have a gauntlet in terms of facing everybody. Everyone's going to want their best shot. And we don't know if the quarterback is going to be Miller Moss or it's going to be Malachi Nelson. Yes, Malachi Nelson is back with USC. Everyone thought he transferred from USC to Boise State, and then he got a change of heart saying, I want to come back to USC. And I'm glad he is back at USC just because I like Malachi Nelson. As someone who has covered Malachi Nelson back when he was at Los Alamitos High School, he's still a stud, and I hope he's able to do great things. If not, we will get Miller Moss time, which I don't necessarily hate. I mean, yes, he played well against Louisville, and it was only Louisville, but hey, it's something. So I can't complain about it. So there you have it right there. That is what USC is going to have to contend with in terms of the Big Ten. I am partially looking forward to it, but I'm not really looking forward to it because in addition to those talented Big Ten teams, they also got UCLA that's coming in, and they've got Oregon and Washington that also popped in as well. So I'm looking forward to it, but I'm not looking forward to it. But we'll see what happens going forward with USC. And then for the Kings, obviously we know about the Kings. They lost in the first round to the eventual Western Conference champion, who is playing tonight in the Stanley Cup Finals in Game 6. So I hope this is a sign of good things to come for the Kings, and hopefully the Kings don't fall flat on their face, and hopefully their logo will be just as good as their gameplay. So it's a time will tell process. So that's going to do it for the LA Kings and USC news regarding them being on ESPN 710. We're going to take ourselves a quick little breaky break. When we come back, we're going to discuss some MLS as well as a little bit of some NWSL. So keep it locked here. You were listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, New York? This is Ricky K coming at you at the NY State of Sports, a new show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Listen to me every Thursday afternoon as we bring you the latest takes on the Yankees, Mets, Jets, Giants, Knicks, Nets, Rangers, Devils, and Islanders. Plus, you get some college hoops and what's the local sports events going on in the area. It's a state that never sleeps, so why not get the opinions and sports takes that never sleep? Again, every Thursday, 2 p.m. to the NY State of Sports. We'll see you then.
Yo, what's going down? This is Spaced Out Sports with your host, J-Man, giving you all Houston sports straight from the source. Brought to you iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. In this show, we're going to talk about everything Houston through and through, and everything. We're going to talk about the surrounding areas. We're going to talk about local sports, everything in Texas in general, mainly Houston, but we're going to talk about everything in the sports world. I want to hear from y'all. Y'all definitely going to hear from me. We're going to go from anything all over, from it's football to MMA to everything. Let's have a good show. I'm looking forward to hearing from the city. Y'all make sure y'all just check me out every Wednesday right here at Spaced Out Sports, brought to you by iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Let's go.
And welcome back to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on iSports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. Definitely do check out all of our amazing shows, such as New York State of Sports with Ricky, as well as Spaced Out Sports with the J-Man. Thought with all that said and done, let's get on back to the SoCal Sports action. As Aaron Yowell on Instagram, he actually responded to the hiring of JJ Redick. He actually said that he likes JJ Redick's mindset, basketball mind, and I agree. But his biggest concern was, how would Anthony Davis and LeBron James respond? And that is a big thing right there. That's a great point that he made. And honestly, it's all going to depend on those two buying in, as well as the entire team buying in. I feel that if LeBron and AD buy in to JJ Redick, I think that they will be fine. But JJ Redick has to basically win the team over. He has to basically be all in, and then he basically has to have a strong mindset, and he just cannot wilt in terms of pressure. He just cannot wilt in terms of pressure. And Aaron Yowell on Instagram also said, he said that eventually JJ Redick will be better than Darvin Ham, which I think is a good point. I think that's a good thing to. I feel that's maybe a little backhanded, even though Darvin Ham in his first season took the Lakers to the Western Conference Finals, only to get swept by that said Denver Nuggets team. But I will say again, it's a time will tell process, and I just hope that the Lakers are able to put 2 + 2 together. So there's that. And also, quick little plug, definitely do check out Mile High Musings with Aaron Yowell. He actually is the host of said Mile High Musings every Sunday at 7 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. He's also here on StreamYard as well. Definitely, because that covers all things Denver and Colorado sports. So definitely check out Mile High Musings. Definitely, you won't want to miss it. Aaron is so entertaining, and he actually makes my Sundays. All right, but that's enough with that plug. So Marcus Lowe Straight pops in the chat room. He says, salute to you too, brother. All right, that being said, let's jump on into some MLS action as the Galaxy go 2-0 last week, and that is a great thing. Just because the Galaxy are still trying to catch up to Real Salt Lake and LAFC, but the Galaxy had themselves a nice little week as they had a 2-game homestand. Last Saturday, they took on Sporting KC and wound up beating them 4-2. I know Sporting KC's record doesn't look like it, but that is a good team right there. Sporting KC is not a bad team. Dejan Hovlahich scored for the Galaxy to put them in the 40th minute to put them up 1-0. And they also scored in the 54th minute, courtesy of Gabriel Peck, and now it's suddenly 2-0 in favor of the Galaxy. But then Steven Afrifa scored for Sporting KC to get them back in it, but the Galaxy counteracted with a goal courtesy of Robert Castellanos. Even though Sporting KC did everything they could, the Galaxy had an answer for them. I feel that was kind of the case, and Sporting KC had a lot of chances. For instance, Castellanos was the one that scored for Sporting KC to bring Sporting KC to within 3-2. That third goal was courtesy of Joseph Paintsil. And Sporting KC, like I mentioned, they were so close to tying the game. Sporting KC was really going at the Galaxy. They had good shot attempts. They tried to control as much possession as they possibly could. But thankfully for the Galaxy, they are a talented team, as Miguel Berry was able to provide an insurance goal in stoppage time, as the Galaxy wound up winning 4-2. And that's a big win right there. I mean, obviously, welcome back to the Dignity Health Sports Park. I almost said StubHub Center. Y'all can't trick me with that, but Dignity Health Sports Park. Welcome back to Dignity Health Sports Park, Galaxy. Glad you were able to pick up that win over Sporting. Sorry about that. But in addition, the Galaxy also wound up winning 2 games for the price of 1, as they took down NYCFC by a whopping score of 2-0. They held NYCFC to only 4 shots, which I think is impressive. And for the Galaxy, they had only 5 shots, but it's still pretty good. I mean, holding an opponent to only 4 shots on goal is really darn good. And NYCFC is not that bad of a team. They're actually right in that echelon of top 3 in the Eastern Conference. So for the Galaxy to go 2-0 is really good. That's 6 points right there. So great job to the Galaxy. And here's hoping they can continue their winning ways, as this weekend they've got a nice little road match in Sandy, Utah against Real Salt Lake. The battle for first place, the battle of at least top 2 teams in the Western Conference. And I really want to see the Galaxy show up to that matchup. And I really want them to, have a great game. I think they can do so. I definitely think that the Galaxy they're for real. They're certainly better than they were last year. I'd be shocked if they somehow found a way to not show up when it truly matters, because they could eventually see the Real Salt Lake, but it is what it is. We're not going to look too far down that rabbit hole. As for LAFC, they also wound up winning this past Saturday as they took down Orlando City 3-1. Dennis Bouanga scored on a penalty kick right before halftime to put LAFC up 1-0. But Martin Ojeda scored in the 68th minute for Orlando to tie it up at 1-1. But 12 minutes after that, Miguel Bogus, I think it's pronounced Bogus, he managed to score for LAFC to put them back up 2-0. And then the Galaxy managed to score an insurance goal to basically give them the win. And then that was courtesy of Bouanga. Dennis Bouanga has been such a bright spot for LAFC. I can't tell you enough how much Dennis Bouanga means to LAFC. And then on Wednesday, LAFC had another road matchup. They took on Austin FC. And this one wasn't as smooth as the other one, as the one against Orlando, as Austin actually got the scoring started in it with a goal courtesy of Raphael O'Brien in the 19th minute. So it was suddenly 1-0. The Galaxy had a lot of scoring opportunities. They had so many shots, and they basically outpossessed the ball and out-corner kicked Austin FC. Austin FC could not get anything going after that goal. But LAFC just could not. They couldn't get anything going. But it was until the 90th minute where Kei Kamura scored for LAFC to tie the game up at 1-1. And eventually that was the final score. So the 8-match win streak and 6-match MLS win streak did come to an end last Wednesday. But it's still 1 point. It's certainly better than losing, because if LAFC loses to Austin FC, then LAFC is not in second place outright. They'd be a couple points behind. No, they'd be one point behind. I'm sorry. Yeah, well, they'd be 1 point behind the LA Galaxy in the Western Conference, as both teams are tied for second in terms of points, but LAFC has a slightly better record than the Galaxy. But it's great to see the Galaxy are back to their winning ways. But for LAFC, it's better than losing. I will say that. But I feel that this one was definitely winnable. I feel that they kind of let one slip away. It's just that it was just one of those games where they just could not get the ball into the net. And they basically did everything correct except score more goals than the opposing team. And it's frustrating, but they're still in a good position as LAFC is back in action this weekend, this Saturday, when they host the San Jose Quakes at BMO Stadium. So there you have it right there, and I'm impressed by both teams. I'm happy for the Galaxy, and so was Larry B. So there you have it for the Galaxy and LAFC. It's great to see both of those teams are doing well. I can't really say the same for the NWSL teams as Angels, or, well, San Diego Wave FC. Let's rip off the Band-Aid with San Diego Wave FC. They tied last Friday against the Washington Spirit as they tied 1-1 as Jaden Shaw scored for Wave FC in the 20th minute. And just like Austin FC, they did a good job of keeping the ball away from the opposition, from Washington. It wasn't until extra time where Washington scored the equalizer. Oh my God. Croy Bethune scored, I think, 2 minutes into extra time, and that was the backbreaker for Wave FC. And this is where you wish that the extra time was never a thing in soccer. But unfortunately, it is a thing for Wave FC as they wound up tying with Washington Spirit 1-1. If I recall correctly, Washington's a pretty good team, so I don't think this is too bad of a tie. I mean, it's never bad to tie. It's better than losing, but I think if Wave FC had just played a full 90 minutes and then some, I think they definitely would have for sure gotten the win. And I know that's cliche, but winning on the road would have been so crucial for them just because they need a win. They have not won since May 5th, and we're almost in the month of July. That just goes to show that Wave FC needs to start winning ASAP. Now, their second matchup was against New Jersey/New York Gotham FC. And unfortunately for Wave FC, they did not fare well in that one as they wound up losing 2-1. Rose Lavelle scored the first goal of the game for Gotham as put them up 1-0. But Maya Jones was able to score for Wave FC about in the second half. Yeah, a little in the second half. Maya Jones was able to score for Wave FC to tie it up at 1-1. It was basically a tug of war, but just like against the Washington Spirit, extra time really killed Wave FC as, unfortunately for Wave FC, Macy Bell knocked in an outside the boot goal to basically give Gotham the win. And it sucks because it's another case of they had their opportunities and they were doing a great job of keeping the other team off the board, but they needed to get their goals, and unfortunately, they just could not capitalize. I get it. It's a road. It's on the road. You're in a different time zone, but still, it's not really too much of an excuse. And excuses are basically like elbows. Mostly everyone has them. So tomorrow, Wave FC is back in action when they head down to H-Town to take on the Houston Dash. And speaking of the Houston Dash, a perfect segue to go into Angel City FC, as that was the first team that Angel City played last week. So last Saturday, the Dash and Angel City wound up playing to a 0-0 tie, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. Both teams had their opportunities, but unfortunately, they just could not they just couldn't put the ball in the goal, and that is what truly matters. But in their second game against Racing Louisville FC, Racing Louisville, Angel City finally broke through. They wound up winning a match, which is so great, as Kennedy Fuller and Rocky Rodriguez scored in the 17th and 32nd minute to put Angel City up 2-0. But Louisville got some good momentum before halftime as Taylor Flint knocked in a penalty shot to make it 2-1 in favor of Angel City, which was the halftime score. But then it kind of got into nervous time. 64th minute, Racing Louisville tied it up as Carson Pickett knocked in the equalizer. But it wasn't until like the 80th, somewhere in the 80th minute, where Angel City's Sydney Leroy was able to knock in a goal and give her team the full 3 points and the win. And my goodness, it's been a minute since Angel City has wound up winning themselves. I want to say that it's been since the beginning of May since Angel City wound up winning as well. So I'm glad Angel City finally got that losing monkey off their back. And it's gotten to the point where Angel City has moved past Wave FC in terms of the NWSL standings. But it's kind of saying a lot just because both teams are really not good this year. Both teams are really struggling. They're on the struggle bus, and they need to get off it, and they need to get on the road to winning city. Or Wintersburg. But regardless, Angel City is back in action for a nice little SoCal versus NorCal matchup as they play Bay FC tomorrow on the road, which I think is going to be very fun. I think it's going to be a great little matchup right there. So all in all, not again. Gotta fix the camera. Sorry about that. But yeah, Angel City is back in action tomorrow against Bay FC. And here's hoping that they're able to have themselves a great matchup. I think they can do it. I think as long as they get this win over Louisville is a good momentum boost. They need it just because you don't want to go on the road, even though it's in your own state, and lose to an expansion team. That just would not be fun. So we'll see what happens with Angel City, but they're back in the win column, and they can only go up from here. They certainly can only go up just because it hasn't been the prettiest season for Becky Tweed's team. But that's going to do it for Angel City and the soccer portion of the show. We're going to take ourselves one final break. When we come back, we'll discuss some MLB, and then we have ourselves the Dum-Dums of the week. So keep it locked here. You are listening to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that sports. We'll be right back after this.
What's up, sports fans? You're listening to IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. I'm your favorite West Coast Wisconsinite, Bernie Bango, and if you're a cheesehead, come listen to my show, Big Cheese Sports, where we road trip around America's Dairyland, previewing, reviewing, predicting, debating, and digging into all that is Wisconsin sports at the college and pro levels. Join me on IE Sports Radio, Sundays at 1 p.m. Central Standard. Bernie out.
Hello, sports fans. It's me, your boy Larry B, and I want to walk you through the world of sports. No, not just the mainstream major TV deal type sports, although those are important too. But let me be your guide through your journey of all sports, from college to the pros, the minors, and everything in between. Each week, we are talking sports galore with true diehards just like you from a hardcore fan's perspective that's sure to quench your thirst around leagues you may know all too well and some you may even discover here. That's right, sports fans. If you love sports of all kinds, enjoy hearing amazing sports stories, and respect all sports because you know how difficult any of them can be to play or compete in, then this is your show. Join me, your boy Larry B, on the defining moment each week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports, and let the sports come to you.
Back with the final leg of the SoCal Supreme Sports Show here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Definitely check out all of our amazing shows, especially the defining moment. Also, speaking of Larry B, what I am hearing, he will be going live with the Sports Couple Perspective. You won't want to miss it. It'll be at 5 p.m. Pacific time. So I'm looking at the comments, and Marcus thinks he's a little comedian. He says, the moment JJ was hired, it brought so much joy to my life. This is me kind of impersonating Marcus. He says, the Lakers will always be trash for years. Years, Craig. Okay, I don't know what that years, Craig part is about. But Marcus thinks he's a little comedian. But We'll see what happens. It will be really funny if we see if we see the Lakers win a championship with JJ Redick. I mean, they wound up winning one with Frank Vogel, and yes, the team was stacked, even though they had a bunch of old guys, but still, they still wound up winning it all. They even wound up winning it with Dwight Howard, and again, we can't knock it until it happens. So we'll see. All right, but speaking of basketball, it's a perfect segue to go into the other purple and gold team, the Los Angeles Sparks. And oh man, this was a rough week for the Sparks, to say the least. So the week for them, last time we talked about them, they were on a little bit of a road trip. And Larry B says the Friday after next is the reference of years, Craig. He says it's okay. Somehow, some way, the Lakers will beat the Celtics again in the coming years in the finals. Hoping it just happens. And yeah, and if you heard me basically knocking, if you heard a knocking noise, that was just me knocking on wood, just because I'm certain it'll happen. It will happen. But I digress. But Sparks had a really rough week. So the week got started. Last time we talked about them was last Friday. Yeah, last Friday when I did the show on Spreaker, but I digress. But last Friday, they played the Minnesota Lynx, and unfortunately, they lost 81-76. They were actually doing really good in the first half, and then they kind of crumbled like a graham cracker, which is so unfortunate. Rickea Jackson led the Sparks with 19 points and 10 rebounds, while De'Ara Kahami added 16 points and 10 rebounds. Ari McDonald and Lexi Brown both contributed off the bench, having 14 and 12 points respectively. But unfortunately, it was just not enough to take down a talented Minnesota Lynx team on the road. Then on Sunday, the Sparks lost to the Atlanta Dream, and it was certainly no dream, that's for sure, as they wound up losing 87-74. Cameron Brink and Rickea Jackson, both are rookies. They actually wound up leading the Sparks in the loss, both having 16 points, which I thought was awesome. Ari McDonald added 14 points off the bench, and De'Ara Kahami added 10 points and 8 rebounds in the Sparks' loss. Up to that point, De'Ara Kahami was scoring double digits in all of her games, which I think was impressive. But this Tuesday game against the Connecticut Sun was tough. Well, it was already tough just because the Connecticut Sun are the best team in the WNBA, and they wound up beating the Sparks 9 times prior to that. But the 10th time was not the charm for the Sparks, as they wound up beating the Sparks 79-70. Ari McDonald got the start for the Sparks, and she wound up having 14 points to lead the way. Lee Uriu added 11 points off the bench. Rickea Jackson added 10 points. And De'Ara Kahami, unfortunately, her double-digit scoring streak, or their streak of scoring double digits in every game, came to an end as she had only 8 points. But the worst thing that could have happened for the Sparks, as unfortunately for the Sparks, they pretty much lost Cameron Brink for the year. She had an ACL injury against the Connecticut Sun, and the fact that she even limped to the bench, and eventually she tried to walk her way over to the medical room, but unfortunately she needed Sparks personnel to help her out. So she's out for the year. She suffered a torn ACL, and it just sucks. It really sucks because first of all, it's her rookie year. Second of all, it's just devastating for a rookie. And third, she was starting to look pretty good. She actually had some bright spots, and her best bright spot obviously was against the Washington Mystics, where she had that game-clinching block against the Mystics in the battle of the two losing teams. But, oh, man, that's just heartbreaking there, just to see Cameron Brink out for the year. And I want to send my well wishes over to Cameron Brink. It just seems like basketball just cannot catch a break in SoCal, right? We're having legends passing away like Jerry West and Bill Walton. And now we have Cameron Brink out for the season, too. So, man, there goes the depth in terms of rebounding and blocking shots. So it's just going to be a minor setback for a major comeback for Cameron Brink. I'm calling it right now. She's going to come back bigger, better, stronger, and faster than ever. So to close out the Sparks week last week, they actually wound up losing to the New York Liberty 93-80 last Thursday as Ari McDonald got the start again, and she chipped in 16 points, which I thought was pretty good. Zia Cook and Ray Burrell added 13 and 11 points off the bench, which was great. Dierka Hammy unfortunately didn't have another double-digit scoring game as she only had 9 points, which was the second straight game that she failed to score double digits. The Sparks are back in action at the Barclays Center this Saturday when they take on the New York Liberty. And that's pretty much the entire week before they head down, or before next Friday when they head down to the Cactus State to take on the Phoenix Mercury. But this road trip has been very brutal for the Sparks. They have not gotten one win on this road trip. I think it's a 7-game road trip, but regardless, it has not been a kind road trip. And yes, it is a 7-game road trip. They've already completed 5 of their 7. They've got number 6 this Saturday, and then next Friday they concluded against the Phoenix Mercury. So it's just a horrible week for the Sparks. That Tuesday game where they lost Cameron Brink, basically that was the day where they wish they could hit the reset button. And the sad thing is that Cameron Brink suffered the injury driving to the basket, and it's unfortunate. So hopefully she does get back, and hopefully she does get back healthy and stronger than ever next year. But it just means that everyone on the Sparks is going to have to step up. So we'll see what happens for the Sparks, but it just can't get much worse than this for the Sparks. At least they have Rakea Jackson. Anyway, so over to the MLB. The Angels are still trying to find their answers in this rebuilding season. As against the Giants, they actually found some answers. They actually wound up winning 2 out of 3 against the team that they managed to beat for their lone World Series title back in 2002. The Angels beat the Giants 8-6 on Friday and 4-3 on Saturday. But on Sunday, they just could not get that sweep. It would have been their 3rd sweep of the season, which isn't saying a lot, as the Angels lost to the Giants 13-6 against the Milwaukee Brewers, and this was in San Francisco, aka Oracle Park. On Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the Angels were back at the Big A to take on the Milwaukee Brewers, as they only won 1 game out of 3. They wound up winning the first game on Monday 5-3, but lost the second game 6-3, which is terrible. And then they lost the third game, the rubber match, 2-0, as the Angels only salvaged 4 hits. 4 hits. Unacceptable. Anyway, yeah, it's just been one of those years for the Angels, and I'm hoping they don't. I'm partially hoping they free Mike Trout, but I'm also partially hoping that Mike Trout stays an Angel forever. I mean, he's got that nasty contract, but it is what it is, as the Angels are back in action tonight and Saturday when they take on their crosstown rivals, the Los Angeles Dodgers, at the Chavez Ravine. And then they also take on another California team on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday as they take on the Oakland A's. So going to be tough sledding against the Dodgers, but we'll see what happens. It's also going to be the first meeting for the Angels when they face their former Angel, Shohei Ohtani, which I think is really cool. But we'll see what happens with the Angels. Jumping over to the Padres. Disgusting. I get it. The Mets are actually playing better, but getting swept by the Mets is just, what are you doing, Padres? It was ugly, and I get it. It was on the road, but losing 2-1 on Friday, that hurts. And then losing 5-1 on Saturday, it just shows that the bats were not working. Then the bats finally decided to work on Sunday, but they also really worked for the Mets as they wound up losing that one 13-6. Or I'm sorry, not 13-6, 11-6. So very tough sweep on the road. Very tough getting swept on the road. That is just not ideal for the Padres, especially when they're oh so back of the Dodgers. It just does not make things any better. And then on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, they hit the road to the land of brotherly love to take on those Philadelphia Phillies. They wound up losing the first game 9-2, which is unfortunate. They wound up narrowly getting edged out on Tuesday, 4-3, but they salvaged one win in the 3-game series as they wound up winning 5-2 on Wednesday, which is good. They actually played on Thursday. They actually started their 4-game series against the Milwaukee Brewers, who are still staying in Southern California. And they actually did get the win over the Brewers. They actually wound up winning 7-6, which is a good win. The Brewers are a good team, so at least they got that going. And the Padres are still in second place in the AL West, or not the AL West, the NL West. But you want to know want to know how many games they are ahead of those Doyers? Sorry. They're 9 games. The Dodgers are 9 games ahead of the Padres. So the Padres are in second place, but they're a distant second from those Dodgers, which is perfect segue to go into how the Dodgers did last week. So the Dodgers, they took on the Kansas City Royals at the Chavez Ravine last Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. They wound up winning 2 out of 3 in that matchup, which I think is good. The Royals are pretty good teams, and they're one of the few bright spots in the American League, to an extent. So they wound up winning the first game 4-3, which was a good win. And then Saturday, they wound up losing 7-2. But on Sunday, the Dodgers pitched a gem of a matchup as they wound up winning 3-0, and they actually held the Royals to only 3 hits, which I think is a very big deal right there. Then they had a 4-game series against those Colorado Rockies. They wound up winning the first game 9-5, which is a good start. Then they wound up winning the second game 11-9. Unfortunately, they lost the final game, or not the final game, the Wednesday game against the Rockies 7-6. And that was basically Heartbreak Hotel right there, as the Dodgers wound up losing off of a sac fly, a walk-off sac fly, courtesy of Brenton Doyle, which eventually brought home Jake Cave. But the Dodgers wound up bouncing back and winning 5-3 on Thursday, which is nice because they took 3 out of 4. And it's never easy to win in Colorado. So the Padres are back in action. Like I mentioned, they started their 4-game series against the Brewers, and then they have the Nationals at home on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Meanwhile, the Dodgers, like I said, they host the Angels at the Chavez Ravine, and then they have Sunday off. I don't know why the Dodgers have Sunday off, but it must be like an interleague thing, just because an interleague and maybe an in-state rivalry thing or an in-region rivalry thing. I don't know. But the Dodgers are back in action after they face the Angels against the very lowly White Sox on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And then next weekend, the Dodgers will head to Oracle Park to take on the San Francisco Giants. So I think the Dodgers are still doing really good. After having such a rough series against those Texas Rangers, they actually found a lot of success. And this was a pretty tough gauntlet. They had the Yankees, where they wound up winning 2 out of 3. The Rangers, which they only wound up winning 1 out of 3. They took 2 out of 3 against the Royals, and they took 3 out of 4 against the Rockies. So I think the Dodgers had some great success. Well, that's going to do it for the MLB portion of the show. Again, the Dodgers are basically a distant first place from the other teams in the NL West. It's not even funny. So anyone that reports of the Dodgers' demise in the National League West has been greatly exaggerated. But what truly matters for the Dodgers is basically win when it matters most. All right, but that's going to do it for the MLB portion of the show. Before we get on out of here, it's time to give out the Dum Dum of the Week. And I've got 3 Dum Dums of the Week. Unfortunately, you won't hear the "You are so dumb, you are really dumb for real" sound effect, but I promise y'all, we'll eventually get it up there. But the Dum Dum of the Week is basically an award I like to give out to people who do something dumb and silly. And no one is safe from this award. I wasn't safe from this award last week, as in addition to basically me mistiming everything and my misdeeds, I actually forgot to buy a free pint of ice cream. But I guess I don't need the calories, so it is what it is. But it's still free. Nothing is better than free. Nothing is better than free. But the first Dum of the Week I got to give out to, it kind of interjects with one another. They basically go in conjunction with one another. And it sucks that celebrities have to be this way, but Justin Timberlake getting arrested for, I think it was like driving under the influence or whatnot. And then Lonnie Phillips also, he was also intoxicated too. So it just goes, if you've listened to Let's Whine About DMV Sports by Mike Pat every Friday at 6 p.m. Pacific time, he has a message. You could afford an Uber or a taxi before you can afford a DUI. Justin Timberlake and Lonnie Phillips of the Cleveland Browns, please take that into consideration. Please take that into consideration. Do not drink and drive. Do not drive buzzed. Just don't do it. I swear it's so simple. And for an NFL player, you're getting off on the wrong foot. For Justin Timberlake, you just doing that just makes you look like a horrible person. And now your fans are disappointed in you. Your sponsorships might be taken away. It's just terrible, dude. So please, for the love of all that is holy, if you are watching this, do not drink and drive. Do not drive buzzed. Like I mentioned, and like Mike Pat mentioned, you could afford an Uber or a taxi before you could afford a DUI, because DUIs are expensive from what I researched. It's depending on where you're from. But my goodness, Justin Timberlake and Lonnie Phillips. Oh, it gets worse for Lonnie Phillips. So he crashed his car into a restaurant. And this restaurant is a big deal just because it's one of the favorite restaurants that our very own Angela Winstead likes. So Lonnie Phillips, I hope you're happy with crashing your car into a restaurant that one of our own actually likes. When it boils down to Angela, it gets personal. But I digress, because that's my IE Sports Radio family. And when you mess with my IE Sports Radio family, you're done. You're dumb of the week automatically. I don't care what it takes. I don't care who you are. Dumb of the week automatically. So Lonnie Phillips, and it gets worse because he didn't cooperate with police enforcement. So, gosh dang it, Lonnie Phillips. Lonnie Phillips is probably the biggest dumb of the week of the three dumb-dumbs of the week. But honestly, they're all getting the dumb of the week award. Justin Timberlake, Lonnie Phillips, y'all are dumb. You both are dumb of the week. I do not even care. And pretend you hear you are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
Exactly. There you go. There's that little sound effect. But the third one, okay, this one isn't as big as the first ones, but ESPN can sometimes really pull my hair out. It really makes my blood boil. So they actually just released their top 5 rookies who have the best chance at winning Rookie of the Year. So their first one was actually Cameron Brink. Yeah, they gave Cameron Brink the best odds at winning WNBA Rookie of the Year. They wound up jinxing that, as eventually Cameron Brink is out for the year. And then they also put Rakea Jackson on that list as well. And then I don't remember the other 3, but what a player that wasn't included was Caitlin Clark. How are you going to have 5 nominees and 5 of the best standout WNBA players for WNBA Rookie of the Year, but you're not going to include Caitlin Clark, who's having a great season? I mean, I'll just say this. I know the numbers don't show it, but Caitlin Clark is still pretty phenomenal, and she's had big-time games. And her big-time games have been even bigger than Cameron Brink, and I'm a Sparks fan. Caitlin Clark should have been on that top 5. Absolutely speak less, ESPN. Just whoever wrote that article, I will track you down, and you will personally get dumb of the week. But honestly, ESPN, for having your input for, basically saying that Caitlin Clark isn't a top 5 candidate for Rookie of the Year, shame. It's absolutely disappointing, and it's flabbergasting if you ask me. Caitlin Clark pretty much willed Iowa to relevancy. She could do the same for the Indiana Fever, and she's having a great season so far. I just don't understand the thought process of what went through of leaving Caitlin Clark out of the top 5. Is it just to motivate her? Is it just to basically have clickbait? It just doesn't make sense. So ESPN, whoever decided to not have Caitlin Clark in your top 5 of rookies up to this point, and for rookies that can win Rookie of the Year in the WNBA. You're also Dumb of the Week. I don't care what y'all say. I know it's an opinion thing, but ESPN's Dumb of the Week for leaving Caitlin Clark out of the top 5 rookies in terms of possibility of winning WNBA Rookie of the Year.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And that, my friends, is all she wrote. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for me to get on out of here. Because we got another show that's probably going to be going on. You dig? Thank you to everyone for tuning in to the SoCal Supreme Sports Show. I really do appreciate everybody that tuned in. If you listen live, I appreciate you. If you listen on the playback, I appreciate you. If you listen at work, I appreciate you. If you listen at any time, any place, anywhere, I appreciate you. Shout out to Larry G, the head honcho of iSports Radio, also the producer. I really do appreciate you. If you haven't listened on Set Point, I just celebrated my 5th year with iSports Radio, and I could not be more happy to basically celebrate 5 years with iSports Radio. It really means a lot, and on that June 16th, 2020 was when Larry pitched the idea of when I should start SoCal Supreme Sports Show. And I'm hoping to keep SoCal Supreme Sports Show going because I got me some good ideas for the future. Also, shout out to the chat room. Shout out to Marcus, Los, Grace, and Ralph Police for also tuning in, as well as Aaron Yowell on Instagram. I really do appreciate y'all tuning in. I appreciate my iSports Radio family always tuning in whenever they can. I will be back on the air with the SoCal Supreme Sports Show next Friday at 3 p.m. Pacific time, just because work is a thing. I'll also be back on Monday with Set Point, so definitely check that out. For everyone here at iSports Radio, this is Teran Rodriguez signing off. Have yourself a great rest of the week. Have a great week. Enjoy the SoCal sports action. Stay hydrated because it's getting hot. Obviously, you saw me sweating. That's me sweating because it's hot, not just because I'm nervous. No, I was not nervous. But I'll see you Monday for Set Points. Have a great weekend. Wear your sunscreen. And just remember, SoCal is the SoCal. Peace!